I did this thing in Wicked Dirty Girls, and Kathy Goldwyn, she always posts up different games. And so one of the things was, would you be property of a guy and an MC? I don't know if that was specifically how it was worded, but a lot of girls said yes, 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 yes. And then there were those who said absolutely not. I'm too controlling. I couldn't do it. That kind of thing. And so I thought, it's a good point to touch on. I see a lot of you have differing opinions on it. I see even one of my sisters, she posted and she's like not about it. And you were wondering if there was a difference. And Ruby, that really, it depends on the couple involved. It's kind of like a master-slave relationship. If you get involved in a master-slave relationship, one dude may be into heavy, heavy bondage and heavy like impact play and making you bleed, or knife play or needle play. And then somebody else more wants a 1950s household where, hey Julie, where it's run like old-fashioned couples, and where spanking would be involved if the woman made an infraction like it used to be back in the day. So it really varies on who you're with. That being said, with my man and I, because we are into the BDSM lifestyle as a master slave, and he's a biker, we look at the way things are as I am property of. I am his old lady and I am property of. They're one and the same to us. His club will not allow property of, because he's not 1%, and to them it's too much like 1%. There are sisters in the club, if I say, oh yeah, this is so-and-so's old lady, or that's her old man, there's one in particular, before we drink, I have to say, I'm sorry in advance if I refer to you as his old lady or him as your old man. It's just automatic. Yes, it depends on the couple. And so when you're getting involved with somebody, 1% or not, hey Ivy, you find out, how's it going to be? Some people may want to share you, just like some guys that are just totally vanilla. I mean, I guess if you could call it vanilla. Some guys are swingers. So if you're with a guy who says, as my property, I'm going to share you with anybody I want to. Well, going into it, this dude is all about that. That's something that could be required or called upon you to do. So maybe if you're not into that, he's not the guy for you. So that's one big misconception, is that everybody in MC shares everybody with everybody. It's not the case. Do I bust balls with my brothers? Absolutely. Would he share me with anybody? Absolutely not. One thing that I did notice that a lot of girls were saying that they couldn't do it was the lack of control, especially in regard to club business. First, it was, there are so many rules. So there's that. And then she's too controlling. And a lot of ladies said that. And the way I described it to her is, if you're going on a plane, you don't need to go up there and talk to the pilot and be in the pilot's ear and find out what's going on and which way we're going and was the plane fueled up, what kind of fuel does it have. You just don't. And it's kind of like that being a lady with an MC that's with a guy in an MC. You don't need to know club business. It's none of yours, You don't have that responsibility. You don't get involved with it and sucked in. You don't have to make decisions. You get to chill out and hang with your sisters and have a good time. Okay, Julie, there were certain times that you weren't allowed to go on rides with them either. Absolutely. There are some times where you're not going to be included. There are guys or, times where you see they look serious talking to each other. You don't come up on that. Or like my man will wave me away. I know they're talking club business and I need to stay out. Or he'll wave me over. So you have to be able to pay attention to those things. There's times where we've been out someplace and he's talking to somebody from a different club. He'll summon me over, he'll introduce me, and then he'll say, okay, we got to talk. And so what's the big deal? You know, it's not in a negative thing. It's just stuff that, you know, I don't need to worry myself about, you know, and I just know, okay, boop. The guys have their meetings. And if we're sitting out on the porch and they start their meeting, we know. First they have the officers meeting, then they have the general members meeting. We get up and we walk out front. And it's like, you got to make sure you have your stuff there, because you're not going to go through the house. You're going to go cut through the back, because now it's guy time. It's club member time. And a lady is not a member, no matter how she wants to act. A lady is not a member. They do not have a say. They are not an auxiliary to the club. They are ladies. They are guests. We are, you know, looked on. And that's the other thing, is the respect thing. A lot of people mentioned the respect. And that depends on your guy. And I think that also depends on the lady. If a lady is respectful to members of the club, whether it be 1% or not 1%, because there's still people. Underneath of it all, there's still people. And when they go home, like Cupcake said, they're not always like hardcore, like this is the way it is at home either. But they don't get treated like shit. If you're respectful to, and you're not an issue, you're not a shit stirrer, then you are going to be treated more respectfully. If your man doesn't treat you respectfully, then that's, you know, what you signed up for. Or you can give your property patch back, you can give your lady colors back, whatever, and say, you know what, can't do it. Can't do it. I'm not fucking 10 guys, or I'm not fucking another guy. That's, you know, something also you have to take personal accountability for as well. But if your man treats you respectfully, and or if he doesn't and you allow it, again, part of that's on you. The club isn't going to still let you in the business, and if you think that's being disrespectful, remember, it's a motorcycle club. It's not a riding club. I look at it, motorcycle club, men's club. You know, it could be either or. I've even made a t-shirt, because I say it all the time, is motorcycle clubs are the last frontier where a man can be a man without apologies. It's their place. It's not yours. You know, go with the guy in a riding club. If the guys are talking in the clubhouse and I go to walk in and they're all huddled together, I walk out. If I walk in and there's two of them there, I'll say, is it okay for me to come in? They always look at me like I got 15 heads. Like, of course, baby, you can come in. But it's just the way my man raised me. You know, you don't go going in on guys when you don't know. Being an old lady, being property of, with a guy in a 1% club, it's going to be similar. You don't know club business. There could be friction with the ladies, and the ladies take care of the ladies. I don't know if it's got the same strict where you got to talk to your patch before you can do or say anything. It's common, and it's just knowing what the terms are, maybe what the terminology, and it's not the same across the board. You know, somebody that's property of is also somebody's old lady, but just because you're somebody's old lady doesn't mean that you're considered property of. It just depends on the person. With us, it is. So Ruby, this is probably going to backfire on you, but again, your own opinion. Some of it may stem from the way some authors write the MC genre that have never lived it. Only researched, and no matter how well they research, it's not the same as living. That doesn't make them less. That doesn't mean their writing sucks. Sorry, I can't convey your thoughts well today. No, you can convey them perfectly. You know, because They don't know. And if you go off Sons of Anarchy, you're going to think that there's going to be a chick like Gemma who's pulling strings and puppeting people, and that just doesn't happen. She may puppet the other ladies, and how that's handled, that depends on the club and the people involved. She made a great character, though, and I will not take that away from her. She was fun. She was rotten. I loved her. But it's not realistic. And so, yes, there are a lot of people who get that idea, which is why it kind of, when I looked at the comments for that post, I was like, some people treat their property different than other people. Some people let their house go. Some people trash it. Some people keep it up nice and clean and are cautious of who they let into it. Other people's could give a shit, have a party, trash it out. So just like any property, somebody's going to let you ride their car and just, completely just destroy it. And some people are going to be like, oh no, you're not driving my car. And so it's a similar thing. If you look at the property aspect of it, property can be cherished. An old lady can be cherished. An old lady can be treated like shit, and property can be treated like shit. It depends on the players in the game. Because I saw people saying that as property of, you wouldn't kind of be looked at in the same way as an old lady. And that's not necessarily true. You could be property of, and your guy could confide in you and all of that. If you act out and you act a fool and make him look bad in front of his brothers, you're also gonna, pay for that. And how the guys decide to make you pay for it, that's also another story. Some guys are gonna be physical, some guys aren't. Some guys are gonna be physical when you get home, and some won't. It's not necessarily, cut and dry. Nothing in life generally is. There are those hard and fast MC rules. But not being a member, all you have to do is follow what the guys are doing. Show good on the club and your old man, and specifically, and so you're not going to have to worry. The things that I would think a lady should be involved is respect, loyalty, be there for your brother and sister, have their back. Those things I think are definite across the board, like straight up old school biker code. You should be loyal. You shouldn't talk shit outside of the club, whether you talk shit with your sister or not, because you guys are having words. You wouldn't dare, or shouldn't dare, talk about it to people outside the club. You don't want to. It's like your family. You're not going to go out and tell your family's business. Same concept. To educate yourself on the other, on the 1% clubs in your area, so you can pick them out on site, so you know what their patches are, so you kind of know what their situation is. And if you see somebody, like there's one club specifically that are notoriously disliked, if you see other 1% clubs there and you see that club there, find an exit. And unless your man wants to hot-tail it out of there, find an exit so y'all know which way to go in case shit gets ugly, because it could. So if you're educated on that, that's very important, so you don't end up having issues occasionally. And then other times I'm gritty and raw and cute and fluffy at the same time.